Good morning, children. I am going to take science for class 3 ICSE, class 3 science. Children, if you remember, I was doing lesson number 7. Lesson number 7 was where we were learning all about birds, what kind of beaks the birds have. So we did what the different kinds of beaks the birds have. So now we will move on to the part where we learn about the feet and the claws of a beak. So we shall do the feet and the claws of a beak. Now feet and claws are used in the absence of hands. So birds, they don't have hands. So they use their feet and their claws. They use it to catch food and to protect themselves from their enemies. They also use the claws to perch on trees. To perch on trees means to sit on a tree. So they use the claws to perch on trees as well. So the claws are, feet and claws are used for 3 different things. For what are they used? They used to catch their food, to protect themselves, and to perch on trees. To perch on trees, that means to sit on trees. Just as birds have different types of beaks, there are birds, as we did earlier on, birds have different types of beaks. Broad and flat beak, long and slender beak, spoon beaked. Then we have all the different kinds of beaks. The hooked beak, the strong and chiseled beak, the broad and short beak. So all the different kinds of beaks, in the same way we have different kinds of feet and claws. Okay, the feet and the claws are of a different kind. So every kind of bird has a different kind of feet and different kind of claws. Now if we take look at this, the flesh-eating birds, birds that eat flesh, like the eagle, the vulture, the kite, these are bird-eating flesh. These are flesh-eating birds. Sorry, these are flesh-eating birds. So these birds, they have a different kind of claws and a different kind of feet. Okay. Now eagles and other flesh-eating birds, they have sharp and curved claws. Their claws are sharp and they are curved. They are curved legs because they hold on to things and they tear their flesh, or they grab their prey with the claws. Okay, and with which they catch their prey. Prey is what they are going to eat, the animal that they kill to eat. These claws are called talons. Now the claws of the flesh-eating birds such as eagles, vultures and kites, they are called talons. What are they called? Talons. Now these birds, perching birds, they are not birds which perch on trees. So these perching birds, like crows, miners, sparrows, they grip the branch as they perch on the trees. They catch hold of the branch on which they are sitting. Their front toes, 3 in number. They have front toes, 3 in number. There are 3 legs in number, 3 only in number in the front. Okay, and they have 1 to the side. Their front toes are 3 in the number, and I use just as our fingers. They use just as the finger. The back toe does the function as the thumb. So they have 3 and 1, 4. So they hold this like this way, and the back does the function of catching. So they put this over there, and this thumb, the back toe, helps to hold them on a branch. So their front toes, 3 in number, are used just as our fingers, and the back toe does the same function as our thumb does. Then the scratching birds. The scratching birds, we have birds that scratch. The rooster, the hen, these dig the ground for insects and worms. There are many birds that dig the ground for insects and birds. All these birds who dig the ground for insects and birds and worms, these birds, their legs are very strong and their claws are very sharp. They have very strong legs and their claws are very sharp because they dig the ground. They dig the ground and they pick up their worms and insects from the ground. So they have very sharp and hard. Their claws are very sharp and hard, and so that they can scratch the ground as they dig for insects. The roosters and hens, these have very sharp, strong feet and claws. Then there are the swimming birds, birds that swim in the water, birds that swim. The ducks, the geese, the swan, these are the swimming birds. The teals, all these birds that swim in the water, they are they have webbed feet. Their feet are webbed. Webbed feet means in between their feet they have flesh. In between their feet they have flesh. This is called a webbed foot. This is called a webbed foot. So in between they have flesh. So the webbed feet with the web of skin. It is like skin. Okay, it is a fleshy part with skin, but it tends to be a bit hard in between the three front toes. The toe at the back is small and not connected to the web. They have one small toe at the back, if you can see in the picture, but it is not connected to the web. The webbed feet act as oars when these birds swim. When these birds swim, the webbed feet act as oars. You know what is an oar? An oar is a flat piece of wood with a long handle that they use to oar the boat. Okay, to make the boat move. So paddle, which we call paddle. They used to paddle the boat. So oar. So the same way the duck's webbed feet are used to they are used as oars when the bird is in the water. It helps the bird to swim. Wading birds. We have wading birds, birds that wade in the water. Means they don't sit in the water, but they walk in the water. They move around in the water. These are cranes. The cranes, the herons, these are water birds. And they have the flamingo, the crane, the herons. They have long legs. Their legs are thin and long like sticks. Okay, their toes prevent them from sinking in the mud as they walk through the water in search of food. They walk in shallow water. They wade in shallow water, and their toes are so firm that they hold onto the mud and prevents them from sinking into the mud. And they walk around and they collect their food through the water, in the water. So whatever food they find in the water, they collect that and they have that food in the water. So these are wading birds. Remember children, cranes and herons are water birds. Cranes and herons are water birds and they wade through the water. Then we have climbing birds. You must be wondering, what is climbing birds? Climbing birds are birds like woodpecker. If you see a woodpecker, it is stuck to a tree like this way. The branch of the tree and the woodpecker is outside. It's hanging on the branch of the tree. So it walks up. It's called a climbing bird. So the woodpecker is a climbing bird. It climbs trees with the help of their toes. The woodpecker, it climbs the trees with the help of its toes. The two toes point upwards. Two toes point upwards because the two toes that point upward help it to hold on. Okay? And the other two downwards. This type of feet is more suited to climb easily, to climb trees. So they have two toes that point upwards and two toes that point downwards. So it helps them to grab and to hold on to the tree and climb up. So they climb up the tree. They walk up the tree. So this is your different kinds of feet that the birds have. So children, you have to make a note of every kind of foot that the bird has. Whether you have the different feet, you have the flesh-eating birds, you have the perching birds, you have the scratching birds, you have the swimming birds, the wading birds, and the climbing birds. So in all, you have 3 and 5, 6 birds, 6 kinds of different feet you have. So children, please make a note of each one and write which bird belongs to which one. Now in page number 52, we have a little checkout. Okay, quick check. So name 2 birds that have the following: short and hard and horny beak, wading feet, a beak to crack nuts, and talons. So these are what you have to write on your own. So look at the pictures and write on your own. Now we will do about birds that fly. The flight of the birds. What helps the birds to fly? What gives the birds flight? Now every bird has a beak, it has a head, it has eyes, wings, legs, and a tail. So all birds have the same thing. They have a beak, they have head, they have eyes, they have wings, they have legs, and they have a tail. The body of a bird is designed that it can easily fly. The body of the bird is so designed that it can easily fly. It helps them to fly. The body of the bird is hollow. It is hollow. All the bones are hollow. The bones are hollow, and but it is got a very strong frame. The bones are hollow, but they have a strong framework, and that because the bones are hollow, it makes the bird lighter, and it helps the bird to fly. The body is shaped like a boat. You see, when you look at a boat, it is shaped like a boat. It is in this shape. The body of the bird is in this shape. So it is narrow on top, broad in the center, and it narrows, tapers down at the end. It is like a boat. So the boat has two pointed ends, right? So the same way, the bird's body is shaped like a boat. Why is it shaped like a boat? So that it can easily cut through the air. It can easily cut through the air. So it is shaped like a boat because it cuts through the air. The same way the boat is shaped in such a way so that it can cut through water. The boat is shaped in such a way that it can cut through water. That is why we shape the boat in this way. So it is pointed at two ends and it is broad in the middle. This helps the boat to wade through water. It helps the boat to cut through water and to move forward. The same way, the bird's body also is shaped like a boat so that it can go forward and cut through the air and move forward. They have wings in place of arms. The birds don't have arms. They have legs, but they don't have arms. In place of their arms, they have wings. The wings help them to fly. So this serves, the wings help them to fly. They are attached to the body of the bird through extremely strong muscles. The wings have got very strong muscles because that helps them to fly. They flap their wings and they fly in the air. So the muscles in the wings are very strong and these muscles help them to fly. This is attached to the body of the bird with strong muscles. So the wings are attached to the body of the bird with strong muscles. These muscles allow the up and down, front and back movement of the wings. So it allows the bird to fly, the wings to move up and down and to move front and to move back. So it can flap its wings backwards and forward and up and down. So this is the work that the wings do. Its tail. The tail serves as the function of a rudder. Okay, the function of a rudder, and it is pointed at two extremes and rounded in the center. So such a body makes it easy for the bird to fly. So the tail of the bird, you always notice that the tail of the bird, most of the time, the tail of the bird looks this way. When you see a tail of a bird, you look at it, you will see that it looks this way. Normally the tail is always like this way, pointed, and then you have big thing, and then the tail comes out like this way. So this is the tail of the bird. It will be pointed at two ends. These two ends will be pointed, and then the tails and the feathers will be there. You have feathers. So this is how the tail of the bird looks. So most of the time it has a little hollow in the center over here. There is always a little hollow. It has got a curve and two pointed ends. So this helps, it works as a rudder and it helps the bird to move forward. It helps the bird to turn. The tail of the bird helps the bird to turn from this angle to that angle. So it turns left and right and it moves along the way. Okay? It serves as the function of a rudder of the boat and helps the bird to change its direction. The bird changes its direction. It moves from left to right. It can change its direction. A bird has streamlined body, you must remember. A bird's body is streamlined. Streamlined means it's narrow on top, broad in the center, and narrow at the back. So it is got a streamlined body pointed at two extremes. Okay, the two extremes are pointed and rounded in the center. Such a body makes it easy for the bird to fly. How does a bird fly? A bird uses two kinds of movements as it lifts itself up in the air by flapping its wings. It has two types of movements. How does a bird fly? It has two types of movement. It lifts its wings by flapping it up in the air. Okay, and the wings move upwards and backwards. So the wings move upwards and backwards. So that helps them to fly. And there's a downstroke. The downstroke, the wings move downward and forward. The wings move downward and they move forward. So there are two different strokes, the upstroke and the downstroke. These two strokes help the bird to fly, and it makes the movement of the birds very easy. So this is what we come across. Now we move on to the feathers of a bird. Oh, the feathers of the bird makes the bird look pretty. Every bird has different colored feathers and different types of feathers. So the feathers of the bird make the bird look pretty. A bird's body is covered with three types of feathers. They have three types of feathers. It keeps them warm, it gives them shape, and it helps them to fly. So let's read about the three types of feathers that the birds have. First, the birds have long, flat feathers. When the feather is long and flat, those are called flight feathers. They are called flight feathers because those feathers help the bird to fly. And they are found in the tail and in the wings of the bird. The flight feathers are found in the tail and in the wings of the bird. Then the next one, these actually flight feathers, they help the birds during the flight. When the birds are flying, the flight feathers help the birds to fly. The smaller and fluffier feathers are known as down feathers. So they have got smaller, fluffier feathers which are very soft and fluffy. Those are called the down feathers. They grow close to the skin, and the down feathers are basically there to keep the body warm, to keep the birds warm. The body feathers, the last one is called the body feathers. The body feathers instead covers the rest of the body of the bird and helps to give it shape. So the body feathers are the feathers that cover the rest of the body and gives the body shape, gives the bird's body shape. So these are the three feathers. We have the flight feathers, the down feathers, and the body feathers. So remember children, flight feathers are there in the tail and in the wings of the bird, and it helps the bird to fly. The down feathers are on the body of the bird and it keeps the bird warm. And the body feathers, they are small bushy feathers which give the body a shape. Okay, it covers the rest of the body and it gives the body a shape. Nesting. We have birds that have different homes for nesting. We have a variety of birds. All birds make their nest. So nesting is very important. As we said in the beginning of the chapter, birds need shelter. They need a home to take rest. Okay, to rest, like how we have a home where we rest and we take shelter. So the same way the birds also have homes where they take shelter. But their shelters are quite different from ours. The birds' shelters are different from ours. Birds build nest first of all to lay eggs. The birds build their nest to lay eggs. They choose very safe places. They choose safe places that are protected from harsh weather and enemies. They choose places that are safe, that are protected from harsh weather and enemies. They use twigs, grass, feather, cotton, wool, leaves, and sometimes even mud to build their nest. They use a variety of things. They use grass, twigs, feathers, cotton, wool, leaves, twigs, and even sometimes mud to build their nest. After the eggs hatch and the chicks come out, the birds remain in the nest to take care of the young ones. Once the eggs are hatched and the chick comes out, the birds remain in the nest to take care of the young ones. Once these baby birds are ready to fly, the parent birds fly away too. Different birds make different kinds of nest. Every bird makes a different kind of nest. We have the tailor bird. The tailor bird is a very unusual bird. As it is clear from the name, you know the name what it says, tailor. So this bird is a tailor bird. Why we call it a tailor bird? Because it stitches its nest. The tailor bird is so clever that it stitches its nest. It uses its beak like a needle along with the thread or wool to stitch big leaves. It takes two big leaves and puts it together and it stitches it with either the thread and wool. So the tailor bird searches for thread and it finds thread or wool and it stitches the big leaves. It puts the material such as cotton and wool inside the nest to make it comfortable and cozy. So inside the nest, the tailor bird uses cotton and wool that it finds, and that makes the nest comfortable. We have the weaver bird. The weaver bird, on the other hand, it weaves its nest. It weaves its nest with grass and twigs and leaves. Okay? A weaver bird's nest has a tunnel shape opening at the bottom for it to enter in. So it enters in like a tunnel from the bottom and it goes in. So this is the weaver bird's nest. The eagles make their nest on rocks or on higher branches of very tall trees. They make their nest on rocks high up on the hills or in high trees right on top of the tree, on the topmost branches of the tree. So that's where the eagle makes its nest. They use small sticks to arrange the nest in the form of a small hole, and their nests are called eyries. Their nests are called ears. So they have these nests which are called eyries. And the woodpecker makes a hole in the tree trunk by pecking it. Once the nest is ready, it uses the chips of wood to line it in order to make it comfortable. So the woodpecker makes a hole in the bark of the tree, and the same wood that it breaks, it uses it inside to line its nest. The penguin on the other hand collects pebbles and stones, and the penguin on the other hand collects pebbles and stones and makes their nest on the ground. So the penguins collect stones and they make their nest on the ground. Now birds are very particular. They are also like human beings. They protect their young. They look after their young ones. They look after their chicks. After the eggs are laid, the mother bird sits on them to keep them warm, while the father bird protects the mother and the eggs from enemies. When it is time, the chicks break the eggs from within and come out. They are weak and without feathers. Their eyes are closed too. In the first few days, the parent bird looks after all the needs of the young chicks. The growth of the bird's chick is quite fast, and soon they grow feathers. Once they grow feathers, as soon as they can fend for themselves, they then fly away. The parent birds to leave the nest and make new ones when it is time for the mother bird to lay eggs, more eggs. So this is what it is. Parents look after the bird. The mother bird looks after the eggs. First of all, she sits on the eggs and keeps it warm. And the father brings the food for the mother bird. When the birds are hatched, the mother bird feeds the birds. The chicks are born they born with their eyes closed and they need to be looked after. So the mother feeds it and they grow. Once the birds grow, the chicks grow into birds, which is quite fast. Then they soon fly away and they learn to fend for themselves. They learn to look after themselves. And the parent birds, they leave that nest and they fly away and they start building another nest for another time when the eggs are to be laid. So here you have your exercise. Match the following. Match the birds with the food they eat. Pigeons. What do pigeons eat? Pigeons, and you have parrots. So pigeons eat what? Pigeons, we've got mice, squirrel, rabbit, worms, insect and small plants. Then seeds and grains. So pigeon eats seeds and grains. Parrots eats nuts and fruit. Eagle eats mice, squirrel and rabbit. Woodpecker, it eats the insects that are living in the tree. And ducks, they eat the worms, insects and small plants that are found in the water. So you have your key vocabulary. Please learn the meaning of the words in your key vocabulary. Now I know what also is the important questions that you have. So learn that and let's do. You can answer all the questions, go through the lesson, read it and answer the questions that are there on page number 56 and 57. I will come back the next time and we shall discuss the answers of 56 and 57. But you will do it on your own. Thank you, children.